Good evening. Patrick here, 8 Questions With, and welcome to the last show of the week. Um, I predicted that this week would actually be outstanding, and so far it has not disappointed. As we have had just an amazing week this week with our guest Daniel Hill on Tuesday. I think yesterday we had the lovely Jessica Cameron was here, and today we have um, just an amazing actress and just an all around badass. Quite honestly, I mean, she's beautiful and she can handle weapons of all sorts. She's a classical fencer. She can handle firearms, and she looks like she could kick your butt, my butt, and well, she might give the Cheeto a good run for the money. But you know what I'm saying, and that we'll be talking with Kelley Poling in about 15 minutes or so. So glad you guys are here for this. So Kelly is a fine actress, and she's got quite a little bit of a history too. As back in the late '90s, um, there. Hi, Katie. Um, Back in the late '90s, this is when a bunch. This is when people started doing the beauty contest, like Hawaiian Tropic contests in around the country, and those became very, very popular and actually were really good places for modeling agencies to find new talent. And I mean, legitimate modeling talent, not just, guys, looking to, you know, hey, look at me, I have a Ferrari. No, this is actually a really good place for women could go, young women could go. They could do the contest, and then a lot of times, a lot of the people they winners or models, they would get they would get contracts for modeling. So Kelly was actually one of the first models that really popped out of that circuit, and of course you can see why, right? But she translated over to and what before she was while she was doing this, she also was a world class fencer. She has competed in many contests, matches. Um, just fencing is an amazing talent. It really is. I don't know if you ever watched true fencing competition, but it is fast and furious and fun to watch. And Kelly is she's an elite athlete, and so she was doing modeling and fencing um, with all those sorts of disciplines, which we'll find out about which one she competed in when she gets here. And then she went into acting. She's been an actress now for quite a while, and I was actually I'm very impressed with her resume so far. She has done some really interesting things, and has some new upcoming films coming up. Some of the things I'm looking forward to seeing her in is she's doing a Eli Roth. We had another actress recently on here. She did one of the she did, I think it was Mary uh, 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 Fedor that came on and did that. She started Eli Roth Presents. I probably shouldn't say that until I double check, right? So let me just not say that. But Kelly is. She is in Eli Roth Presents The Legion of Exorcists. So she did an episode of that series as well. She's also done a movie called The Nightgown. She's done several good shorts, and she's done a movie series called which I don't know what this is. It's called Tales from Pandora's Box, and from what I understand, it's an anthology. So I'm not sure. I know that I because I saw that that one had been completed, and she's also doing a part two. So I have a feeling she is the storyteller in that. So I do believe I think I saw that. I have to go back and check, but I do believe I saw the first Tales of Pandora box. I believe it is on Tubi. I think it's on Tubi, so we can go check that out. So let's see. Let's see. Joseph has said he just met his favorite basketball player from. Oh, okay. You must have went down to the practice, right? Nice. Uh, that's very cool. That's very cool. Anthony is here. Anthony, how many subs you got, buddy? Let's see. Anthony says has not told us how many subs he's got. So hopefully he's got some. Feel free to share us out as always. Um, that will be helpful. I will be posting a new. Hey, Star Lord, welcome back, sir. See, Joseph says that he went down to the mall and had a picture taken with him. That's cool. And Star Lord is back with us. Always glad to see. And Anthony is at 883 subs. So he is 117 away from 1,000. Anthony, you're almost there. You saw him at the you saw him at the mall. Wow, that's very cool. That's very cool. I think of course with the UK, the University of Kentucky will always have a great basketball team, full of great talent. So I did do a review today. I was I was thinking, okay, I have time to watch something and review it. So so initially I was gonna grab this. I was gonna sit there and say, yeah, we're gonna watch Skinner Moretic, right? So let's get ready for this. But when I started heading downstairs to watch it, the cheetah said, no, 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 we're not doing that. We're watching this. And so my review for Robot Monster will be going up after this interview tonight. Oh, thank you so much, Night Owl. Glad you're here. Really glad you're here. Share us out if you can. Yes, I'm glad you're back, Star Lord. Hopefully everything is going fine. Hopefully everything is uh, um, hopefully everything is going well for you, sir. Let's see. And Joseph's saying that he says he's going to do a watch party for Halloween '78. Good, good. Watch out. Watch. Whoops. Ding. The bell just went off, boys and girls. The basement door has just been knocked on, so you know what the rule is about the basement door. As soon as we hear it, we go get it. So please put your hands together and welcome in our guest, the lovely Kelley Poling. Here we go.
Hey,
Yay!
how are
Wow!
you?
Great, great. I'm so glad this is happening.
Me
I felt
too.
I feel like a fool. I truly do. Uh, because I had asked you a long time ago to do this show, and then I just dropped the ball somewhere. I don't know how I did it, why I did it, or anything, but I dropped the ball.
My
And then I
dear,
thought,
everything for a reason. You never know.
yeah, I like to think that, but I still think I was just a fool. I don't know. I think I was just clueless. But I've been a fan of yours for a long time,
Thank
and
you.
I couldn't wait for this tonight. Um, I am totally excited to talk to you about your fencing because I love it.
It's my favorite passion.
Yes, I sense that, and I've had some athletes on the show. I've had some world class dancers, but I think you're the first time. I think you're the first world class athlete I've had on,
I wish
and
I was world class. I do travel the world and I like first class. I don't know if that makes me first, but that's okay. It's been something I've studied for a very long time in my life. So if somebody said, what do you do the best? I would say that. There's other things that I have passion for. I'm lucky. I'm one of those people that I'm a passionate person about many things. It's my favorite though. So
I was actually hoping I'm not sure if they're close by, but later on I was actually hoping you could show us the weapons that you compete with. I was thinking you compete with a rapier. What do they call it? Epi?
no, well, we have the foil, epee, saber, but my favorite sword is the small sword. So I do have a cell in my house. I don't know if you've ever seen some of my posts, but I have a cell just means room in French, but it's basically is for fencers. It means it's the room where we fence. It's a wide open space, usually like mine upstairs. I'm in my office downstairs, but mine upstairs has swords all along the wall,
Mm.
fireplace, some tapestries, a lot of fencing antiques, and we're my maestro is writing a book about women fencers from throughout history, so there's a lot of paraphernalia is a good that's not exactly the right word, but there's a lot of artifacts upstairs, so it's like a little museum up there.
Okay. As far as I know, don't you compete in matches around the world, right? Or
Yes,
have,
I
yeah.
do.
See?
We travel as an academy. We meet other academies sometimes. We travel, like our next trip is to Sicily, Italy, and we'll be training and competing there. So
Will that be this year or sometime
it's
next year?
next year. Our next big thing in fencing is something called the Academia, and that's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and that's coming up at the end of this month. So
Mm.
we are all polishing our swords, cleaning our swords and making sure our uniforms are in tip-top shape, and making sure that we have all of our salutes and everything down to a T, because we are judged highly in this little thing we're doing. Uh, Very strict maestry, just so you know.
Uh,
Don't cross
is,
them.
is it hard to get the blood out of the blade, out of
Don't.
the garlic?
Yeah, I know, right? Wipe it off. That's mostly in the movies. I wish they used to do it to first blood, but now we do it to first touch. That's counted as a, mark against as soon as you get touched.
They got when did they get rid of the first blood?
Probably when we stopped using sharps.
Okay.
I
So it's
I'm
been a
still
while.
all for first blood, just so you know. But yeah, no, I'd probably get thrown out. So we settle for touches.
Okay. Now,
Touche.
when did that change? Did that change during like the 50s or 60s or later?
Well, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Dueling became illegal not too long. Well, like in not a long time ago. There's a lot of places that outlawed dueling. There's a couple places that did still allowed it, and people would go there and have a nice little duel. But there's no reason to draw blood if you're not having a duel, unless it's war, right? Before the guns
Right.
came into existence.
Right.
So for us, it's like a game of physical chess. You have to think many moves ahead, and so there's still such a draw for me in this art form. So I find it complicating. I find it complicated. I find it difficult to master,
Oh, I bet.
and the people are very interesting that have a passion for it also. So we have a lot of professors and we have some doctors. We have people that like difficult challenges. We have a lot of musicians actually that do it too, because like playing the violin, like another passion of mine, um, it's it has a long learning curve. It's not easy, and you're never going to be the best.
Well, do they have rankings of fencers in your different with your disciplines? I mean,
Well, I
like,
mean, fencers in general usually have a ranking. However, in the art form that I practice, we just try to make it more of a personal best. We try not to do the ranking thing, even though we all sort of know who's the best fencers in in our in our style of fencing. So we just don't we're ladies and gentlemen. We don't say it out loud.
I was just thinking. You said your favorite is the short sword.
Small
That's
sword. Yeah.
yeah.
I
That's
believe in my opinion, well, the
that's the
deadliest
hardest.
sword, the deadliest meaning, that could do if you were working with sharps, that could do the most damage, is the one that you use the best. So it depends on if rapier is your sword, then guess what? For that person, the rapier is the deadliest. But for me, I love the small sword. It's complicated. You have to work your way up to actually be able to use it. It has so many different moves that you could execute with it. And it's the sword that most men died by in duels. So
Yeah.
I find it very interesting. A small sword is just basically a smaller rapier.
Can you see our chat? Okay.
I I I mean, I
If you,
see you're in the show, which means you let
um,
me in the basement. You let me up from the basement. So thank you
now,
for that.
on your screen, just to say comments. If you hit comments, you'll see everybody in
Oh,
the chat.
hi everybody.
Uh, I'm gonna acknowledge the folks that are in the chat. Our friends Anthony is here and Joseph, the horror guy, is here. Hello, our good
Hi
friend Star Lord
everybody.
is here. Yeah, we
Oh
have
my goodness, there's a
Charmello.
lot of people.
Yeah, our friend Charmello is here. Saying hello. He's saying how are you?
Hi.
And see our friend Reed is here. Hello, Reed. Glad you're here. Our good friend Josh is here, saying hello. This is awesome. Thank you guys all come. Andre, thank you. Thank you. All right. Wow. There's some other folks coming in. Thank you so much. Feel free to share us out if those who can and those who want to. The more the merrier, I always say. Um, Now, when I knew we were going to do this show, and because I have watched I've seen your pictures, and it's just been I'm blown away by it.
No.
The first question I wanted to ask you was, during your acting journeys, have you ever met an actress named Amy Johnston?
Oh my God, I've met so many actors and actresses. Lovely, lovely group of people. I know a lot of Amy's, and I may have met her, and I don't always remember last names. It's terrible. I'm awful.
Um, I believe she can handle. There's two actors I've met doing this show that I've seen work before, and they can handle blades. And
Really?
yes, a gentleman named Mike Markoff. I mean, he can handle blades. Uh, and then Amy Johnston. She is an actress, stunt woman, and she did a movie called The
Oh,
Accident.
yeah. So this, I've met some blade stunt women. I probably did meet her. Stunt
Yeah,
sword work is quite different than real fencing. However, I love both. They're different, but I love them both. It's like
yeah,
framing yourself. Like I'm constantly studying how to take my fencing to the big screen, in a better way, because it's like the moves that I would do in real life are completely different than how to frame your face when you're doing that move, and how to tell a story when you're doing. And I'm training with Anthony DeLongis, so he's the best person for me, because he's also friends of our academy, for teaching me how to better do that for screen. But for real life, we're trying to get more stunt people to like do the fencing in real life so that they can see the difference,
I do believe those two are legitimate. I don't think.
legit. So they're
Yeah,
like me, they're taking the fencing and trying, and they've already accomplished this is what the best way to look on screen, right? Because
yes, and
that's
I
it.
think, I mean, you mean, you can definitely tell when there's some people. You could definitely tell that they're being, they're acting, like holding a
Mhm.
weapon or whatnot. You could definitely tell they're acting. But
Right,
there's
you
some
can.
people that, when like, if we saw you, we would know the difference between watching you. You're like, that's the real McCoy versus someone who's just, acting. And so the other two I mentioned, those are the only two that I have met so far
That
that
do it.
that do it, and they probably do a lot of it.
Those are
Especially,
my those are my favorite, because it takes a lifetime to learn just one of those arts, and then to add the acting on top of the the real live martial art is a whole nother layer. It's very difficult, and it's almost like you have to be born doing the martial art and then somewhere translated into the acting part, because it is different. But I love it when I know, like in the old days, like with some of the fencers that you've seen, in Zorro from the past, the black and white, Errol Flynn, those were all real fencers, and they
yeah.
figured out how to adapt it to the TV. You can tell they're real fencers. I
Hmm.
love to watch somebody that's an actual fencer on the screen. I feel like somewhere it got lost along the way. So I'm always really happy when I see some like a movie or a TV show where somebody really knows what they're doing. And you cheer them on, like even if they're a bad guy, you're like, yeah, he knows how to hold that sword.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably as far as non-Americans go, as far as swordplay goes, I definitely think the ones that probably like, are legitimate or have practiced more of it would probably be Japanese actors that do a lot of martial art films. They
Yes,
handle it like the
I'm
samurai sword.
literally I'm a Western fencer. I like the European, but I'm also studying Shinkendo, which I have Shinkendo tonight. And Anthony DeLongis is in that too, so he teaches me how to use the Shinkendo. So I'm studying the Western part, even though I don't. I mean, the Eastern part, even though I don't look Eastern, but it's okay, right? um, it's acting. It's acting. You could be who you want. Uh, so it's it looks great on film. The Eastern looks phenomenal. Like there's so many wide moves that make it look so exciting, like our saber and our rapiers. And it's hard to make a Western sword look phenomenal. So if you see somebody fencing, it's usually in a fencing bout. It's hard to make it like with a foil. It's hard to make it look like a really good story because the movements are small and precise, and it's like there's no whoosh, in it. So
Right.
the Eastern is great for the whooshes.
I mean, if this is strong, let me know. But I've always looked at, the Western fencing. I've always looked at it with a sense of elegance.
Yes.
And with the samurai, it's nothing but just raw power. It's like that's what that is. It's just there's no really to me, there's no really dance with a samurai. It's not, like when you see him fight, it's going to be over with like real quick. Someone's going to make that one mistake, and it's going to be all over with. But with with the regular fencing, like you see like a Errol Flynn movie or Pirates of the Caribbean,
Mhm.
a lot of those times those matches go for a long time. Because people are light on their feet, the sword's a lot lighter. They're able to maneuver a little bit more. A samurai sword, you really can't maneuver that well. It's so big, and it's like two hands to control it. Because you don't want to have just you always watch them fight with that. They always fight with two hands
Yeah,
because
it's a two-handed sword. I've actually
Mhm.
I'm learning some moves with the one hand though. I mean, there's a couple of really good moves. I actually feel Eastern looks better on film, but there's some really good fight choreographers that can make the Western stuff look fantastic. So I'm not going to say, so much definitive one way or the other because it depends, right? The saber looks the best on the Western, I think, because it's so it's swashbuckling and slashy. It's just shiny. It's like metal shining, flashing in front of your face. I feel the same with the samurai. They're big. I feel like the movements are bigger. I'm just comparing because I'm doing it, now. Like I'm Western. That's my favorite. But I love learning all different kinds. So um, I can see how people would choose to put Eastern in their films more than the Western. It
Sure.
just it just can tell a better. I don't know. No, I'm not going to say that. It can't tell a better story. It all depends. So
Yeah, it all
yeah,
depends who's welding it. Whoever's welding. Because I mean, you see some people welding swords, and you can definitely tell they're not fencers. They're just
yeah.
acting.
Oh
You can
yeah,
definitely see that.
yeah.
Japanese, like every actor I've ever seen in a Japanese movie handling a samurai sword, and I look at all the people in the background, like
Mhm.
they're the main people, but you look in the background, they all look like they're right at home carrying that sword. There's no like, like, am I holding this the right way? There's none of that. You see them, and you're like, damn, those people are lethal. Um, Real quick, back to the chat real quick. Star Lord mentions Samurai does the push and pull technique with the hilt. Um, I don't know. What's the push and pull? I always thought it was just like strike. I thought it was just was that what that means? Strike and push?
Well, he's. I think. mean, please clarify if this isn't right. The push and pull is basically how to make the blade go through the body.
Oh,
It's more of a push it through the
yeah,
body, you pull it back out, kind of
yeah,
thing. It's more like a whoosh, kind of slicing through. If you can imagine, if you see some of the old, I like to watch a lot of the old Eastern, uh, not quite. I don't think they're quite black and white, but they were definitely made a long time ago. You see that the background actors can actually wield those swords. You can tell that they actually went to some dojo somewhere and said, "Hey, we need some people," you know. So
right.
it's really difficult to find Western fencers that can do that kind of thing too. It's usually like click, 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 click in the background. Like, oh, I'm not going to say it because I recently saw a movie where it was like, it could have been the most phenomenally done movie with Western swords because it was revolving around, people that knew were supposed to know how to use them. And there was a lot of click, 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 click in the background, like cross at the top, cross at the bottom. It looks like you're sword fighting, but it's just making noise and moving your sword. And if
Right,
people aren't paying attention, then who cares, right? But I was like,
right.
oh, you guys could have done so much better. You get so disappointed, and then the whole movie's ruined for you. And it
Now,
could have been so good because the acting was really good in this movie. I was so disappointed. But the
now, did
old
you,
version of it was great. The remake of it was, come on, guys,
what,
do
what,
better. I
what movie?
can't. I'm not gonna. I'll never put down somebody's movie because
Oh no, you're not putting anybody
it
down.
was
You're not putting
phenomenal
any.
actors in it and everything, and it was like, oh,
Well, maybe could it be that they couldn't do that well with they didn't know what to do because maybe the stunt coordinator or the fight coordinator
it's a
maybe
possibility. And it was
yeah.
also a musical in this case. It wasn't a musical in the in the original, but they
Okay.
made it more into a musical in this one. And maybe they were trying to do the sword sounds to the beat of the song. I don't know, but they could have, oh, the things that they could have done with that movie. There was one okay scene in it, and I felt, okay, this is, somebody did a little storytelling here, but I was so disappointed. I walked out of there like,
Uh, is that hard? I mean is that hard when you as a when you see that on the screen? I mean, do you yourself get calls, for your talent? Do people because when they look at your resume and they see what like this is what I can do. I can drive a Ferrari. I can speak six languages. I can play anywhere from 30 to 50, and I'm a world class fencer. Do people see that and go like, "Holy shit! Let me go call this. Let me go call Kelley up."
I wish that people, but the thing is here in Hollywood, a lot of it's who you know. Like when stunt coordinators and choreographers find their people, they know how the person works, they know their temperament, their personality, who they do well with. They call those people more often than the people that they would go out. They wouldn't go outside. So they like, I know this person's reliable. I know this person shows up on time. I know this person doesn't have any outside issues that are going to interfere with this brilliant movie. So why wouldn't I use this person? I know their talents already. I know what they're capable of. So, and I feel like you have to sort of prove yourself here in Hollywood first before you get the recognition of, okay, this person passes that test and let's call that person, so we're going to use that. Then you get in the working pool, I guess you can call. I'm working my way in. Let's just say that I'm trying. I have a lot of proving to do of my skill, and it just
Well,
takes.
you say your skill, you mean what skill? Like your acting skill, or because you do stunts as well, right?
Well,
Once in a while.
I do stunts, yes, but I'm a woman of a certain age, so I don't really jump off of buildings anymore, out of helicopter. I don't do those things. I've
Okay.
drowned a million times, a few times. I do surfing. I try to stick with the stuff on the ground, like the fight and the fencing, the fight, the swords. I'm expert gun.
Yeah.
Um, I try to do as much as I can, uh, where I'm not risking my life as much. I'll do wire work. I don't mind wire work. That's not something, but there's certain stunt people that train their entire lives to do certain things. And I would much rather have somebody that I know is so capable to make that shot look really great than somebody like me. And I would love for them to have the work. And I'll stick with the acting. I like to do the fight stuff though, all myself. I like to do anything that has to do with the choreography. But once you start getting into, okay, let's have her jump out of the helicopter, leave that to the helicopter stunt girl.
I was actually thinking they would just cast you not necessarily a stunt. To me, it's like, okay, she could do stunts, but I mean, if I'm casting her. To me, it's like in an action film because
Yeah.
if you can handle swords, you can handle knives, and it's like, why not have her do more action adventure roles? I mean, you're perfect for it.
Well, thank you. I am working my way into that. I mean, I'm already, so I have, like, Anthony's telling me, Anthony DeLongis, who does he's like, no, you don't, you're the action actress because you really want you're you're an actor. You
Yeah.
want your face shown. You don't want to hide in the background and, do these things.
Oh
And,
no.
they're like, you gotta do the acting and do some of your own stunts, which is what I really, really want to do. I love the action stuff. One of my favorite roles was, you know, rescuing people from a burning building and shooting up the bad guys. I love
Sure. Sure. I
because
mean,
I
you,
can. I'm good at it. I just,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Now your start is really interesting too because I mean to me I sort of look at you as a trendsetter while I was looking at your background, and I know a lot of people I know a lot of people might not agree with me here, but I really don't care because this is how I see you. Um, you're one of the first models when they started doing the beach modeling, like the Hawaiian tropics or whatnot. You're one of the first models. Those when they started those out, I mean, a lot of people they didn't understand where that was going to actually go and take people, and it went from being eye candy to like, wow, this is really good, and a lot of people started getting modeling contracts based on those off those shows, and the models were starting to get work out of that doing those contests. Now you were one of the first models that actually were able to take advantage of that. How did you get what came first for you, modeling or the fencing? What were
fencing.
you?
Well, so I've had a sword in my hand since I was young. I wasn't very inept with it when I was a younger person. I didn't know what I was doing until I met the maestri at my academy. Then I really buckled down on, like, wow, these people really know what they're doing instead of the reenactment that, in my. So I grew up in a military family, and I learned how to do weapon stuff from a young age. And, I grew up in Ohio. I'm a Cleveland girl.
Oh
So
wow!
I had a very we had action adventure in my family. I mean, some of the stuff that we used to do when we were kids, like, I kids still do it this day, I hope, because it was so much fun. But it was like jumping off the cliff and into the water, and who knows what was under the water, and, like, you know, the things would just. And my dad would take us target shooting, and then he would do his reenactment thing, and I would do the sword thing. He would do something called a turkey shoot every year. So they
What
would
was
shoot the black powder. So I grew up with black powder and swords.
what did your dad reenact?
He did. He looked like Daniel Boone, actually, now that I think about it. But he liked, he was, like I said, he was a military guy. So him and his guys, they all liked their old fashioned guns, the black powder stuff.
Okay.
And he used to, he used to take me to the club all the time where they would shoot the clay pigeons, and he was my first instructor for that. Now I have a very good instructor, Tia Negan, who is Sergeant Gunny Tia Negan, who teaches me all the stuff I need to know if I ever make it into a John Wick movie.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah. You're also an expert. Not only you're an expert fencer, but you're also extremely good and tactical. Um, that
I'm
must have.
getting better. I always work. I never stop training. I don't think I never say I'm I'm good. I never say I'm the best. I'm always in training. I'll be in training until the day I'm not here anymore. So, but I started off doing it. I mean, my sister and I were adventurous people when we were young. Our summers were spent camping and canoeing and hiking and fishing and shooting and bow and arrows galore and just all kinds of stuff. My summers were filled with that. I used to go to Canada at a fishing camp, and who I won't even tell you the stuff that we used to, throwing tomahawks and
Right.
so my that was my childhood. I had one of those childhoods. I'm not the only one. But then when I got into college, I started modeling for Hawaiian Tropic, who also they needed we also did a lot of stuff with Yamaha, Harley Davidson. So I had to be a jet skier, a water skier, a surfer. So modeling back then wasn't just standing there looking pretty. It was like,
No.
let's get the bikini chick on the Yamaha and go really fast and take a picture. Um, I was a mountain biking model, which I fell off the cliff and got nice scars for that, but that was fun.
Have you ever
um,
seen an extreme bike? Have you ever seen an extreme bike event? Like I discovered those on YouTube. Have you
oh,
seen the extreme the mountain bike events? Have you seen those?
oh yeah, they're crazy.
Oh,
Like I don't do that. Just I don't do that. I just like I was always like the chick on the bike that they took the picture with the silhouette in the sunset, that kind of thing. But I still had to do the mountain biking part. So I
yeah.
did a lot of adventure shooting as a model, and it just sort of translated over into the acting part.
Yes.
So
See, that's one thing. The Hawaiian Tropics. That's the one thing with the Hawaiian Tropic contest. That's what they opened. They opened the door for that.
yeah,
Most of the time,
We did work weekend at Bernie's. We did Baywatch. We did anything that needed girls with bikinis. We were that was us. So we were in a lot of shows. A lot of time background. I try not to put background on my resume, but a lot of times you'll see the girl on the beach. That's like our. That was how we got put in the IMDb. The girl on the beach.
that's yeah. But before it would just be you go out there, you do the you stand out there, people clap for you. Hit first, second, and third, and then everybody go away. But with this, it was so much more organized. It was more like, and there was so much more opportunity afterwards. If you're one of the models sitting up there
Listen,
after the contest, you reap the benefits of being up there.
I'm telling you, it was the best times of my life working for Hawaiian Tropic, and those people are still my family. We traveled the world, like I'm traveling the world with fencing. I'm traveling the world with acting. We went to the Cannes Film Festival. We were at every celebrity event. We sponsored races. We sponsored all the Monte Carlo, and we sponsored the Long Beach races. We were everywhere, all over the world. It was the best. I did it for a long time too. It was the best time of my life. And the owner just recently passed away, and we're actually having his memorial service at the end of September. We're all getting together again, so there's gonna be thousands of people at this memorial. But it was he was he was my hero. He was such a generous, amazing man that did a lot and had so much. I've never met somebody that had more fun in my life than Ron Rice,
Let me
and
go
had
back
so
to
many people love him ever.
let me catch up with the chat. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, let's see. Hey, Stephen, glad you're here. Stephen Chang, public relations guru in training, is here with us. Thank you so much. Let's see. And Snow is here. Hi, Snow. How are you? Glad you're here. Hobbs has popped up. Shout out to DJ Opie. He may come in here in a bit. All right, Opie. Let's see. Stephen mentions he could see Kelley as the female Errol Flynn. Yeah, we need more women sword fighting. That is
Yeah,
such an elegant thing. The only two movies right now, honestly, top of my head, that I can think of, actually probably three. So you got the TV series Into the Badlands.
I
Uh,
love her. Oh my gosh, she did such a good job in Into the
Emily
Badlands.
was it Emily Rose? I think her name is.
Yes, she she became instantly one of my favorite actresses. I love her. The choreographer for that was really good. Even though I'm not Eastern and everything was Eastern in that, I loved that show. I'm like, where's season 2?
It got 3 seasons.
Oh, that's right. Where's season 4?
Yes, I
Where's season
know.
4?
I
Where
keep
is
waiting
it?
for Daniel. I keep waiting for Daniel Wu to sit there and say, "Guess what? We're coming back." Because I'm like, because I watched that show and I was so hooked. I
I
was so
loved
hooked instantly.
she's like one of my because she's an actress and
Yeah.
she did wield that sword well. And she's like one of my role models for the acting part, you know, like I haven't quite found my sword role model yet, but I loved that. I loved Into the Badlands. People, it got a, you know, there. I think near the end, they just lost the story a little bit. That's why they didn't do another season. I don't know what happened, but bring it back, right?
Emily Beecham played the widow.
Beecham, Emily Beecham,
God,
love her. I'm
me
having
too.
just sometimes I can't remember everybody.
Now, yeah, it took me a second there because I'm like, yeah, Emily Beecham played the widow. Oh my God,
She's great. That's
instantly
the
like,
kind of role I would love to have, even though I believe she could have done it better. So I can't take that role. I think they picked the best actress for that role.
yeah,
I
she
want
was
to do
amazing.
something similar to that because I can.
Um, so I think Emily Beecham was really good,
Mm.
and I also think that of course Amy Johnston. Amy
Yes,
Johnston right now. I mean, and I'm thinking, well, who else have I seen? I mean, I saw they had like a little fencing fight in one of the James Bond movie, the one with Halle Berry and Rosamund Pike. But that you can't look at that and take that seriously. But the rest of because like you want to see that it's an elegant thing to see.
yeah.
Uh,
Madonna was in that.
yeah, she was in that movie. She had the scene with Pierce Brosnan,
She
and I
did, and
believe
she looked. That was quite the fencing outfit.
yeah, she like what.
Only Madonna could pull that off.
Uh, Snow mentions Uma Thurman in Kill Bill.
I loved Kill
Uh,
Bill. It's one of my favorites, and she acted with her eyes in that sword better than that was amazing. And the sword fight between
her and
what was
Lucy
the one
Liu.
where they were doing it in the snow?
Lucy Liu.
Yeah.
Owen
Oh,
Ishii.
that was my favorite sword fight in that genre for sure.
Yeah. I thought the fight against the 88 was cartoon, but the fight with Lucy Liu was definitely
There
reality.
was there was a story in that fight. There was and when I
Oh,
see a sword fight that has a story in it, I feel like that's a successful sword fight, even if they don't, even if I don't think they're good fencers or they don't know what they're doing with the sword. If there's a story in it, I'm
now
like,
let me ask you one question. Um, so you have a manager and you have representation.
yes, sir.
I mean, do you, does your manager know? Because I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, do they really know what they have? Because I don't understand, and I'm sure you're saying from my mouth to God's ear, but I'm telling you, you should be working a hell of a lot more right now. I mean, your skill set is so high to what a lot of people have. So to me, they're dropping the ball. Why? How do you think? Do you get frustrated sometimes when it's like you
I
see a
do.
role like that? Yes, because
I do. Like
I'm a fan.
right
I'm
now, I want to
frustrated.
be. My new thing is I want to be in Lioness with Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
Um, I would love to be in that show and use off some, not my fencing skills, but other skills that I have. Um, yes, I'm. So I went. So this is a good thing and a bad thing. So after I had this little accident, and so I couldn't. I took time off and I went corporate. So I learned all these. Not that I didn't learn in college. I learned a lot of things in college too. I did get my college degree. Um, I I got life experience in between the Hawaiian Tropic time and my coming back to Hollywood time. There was a corporate part of me. I learned so much, and I met the most amazing corporate people. Um, my business skills, I believe, became sharp. And to be fair, you need these corporate business skills to be successful in Hollywood. This is a business, this is a business. And if you don't know how to manage your own business, you will not make it. This is a very tough industry. And if you don't have your ducks in a row and you don't know how to do your own thing, you can't rely on agents and managers and whatever all the time. You have to know how to manage your own business. And if I always say, I know some of the best actresses, yes, they went to theatrical school, they went to art schools and studied. But I also believe having a business degree, I have a medical degree, but having a business degree is super important, or getting that real world business experience if you want to be a successful actor. It's a business. So I came back. My business actually sent me here to Hollywood. I'm like, oh, well, as long as I'm there, I'm going to jump back into acting. So that started right before COVID. So I'm new here. They don't know about me yet. But look
Wow.
out.
Well, yeah,
So
I don't.
my first
Any place, send this interview to your agent, to your rep. I'm telling them right now, for the record, that they're dropping the ball. You got skill set that is beyond most people that they have met, and they need to take advantage of that. Because right now, there's, like you said, I mean, who wouldn't? I'm thinking about Lioness too, and I'm thinking Nicole Kidman, Jill Wagner, and some other, and I'm thinking, okay, they're good actresses, right? But Lioness, because Taylor Sheridan, he's all about action. Yellowstone has a lot of text and dialogue, but when you think of Yellowstone, you're not thinking about the speeches. You're thinking about they're fighting. Somebody's always fighting somewhere, right? And Lioness will probably be double that. So let's get some skilled ladies in there that can handle business, because that's what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Agency of women taking care of business, sort of like a
Well,
Charlie's Angels on steroids.
I haven't made my way into that circle yet. I'm working on it. They just don't. You have, like I said, here you have to prove yourself. You have to slowly show people what you can do. I know I'm doing the right thing because I keep getting hired back by the same people. Like the
Yes.
same people, they'll move on to another project and they're like, oh, we know a girl. And then
Yeah.
they call me in, and then I'm working on another show. I don't even have to audition sometimes because I've already done 2 movies with them, or a show or something like that. So I feel like I am making a little bit of leeway. I do feel like I always have to excel and prove myself, because it's me against somebody that's already known, and they already know the skill set, and they already know how they work. It's like I have to be extra special, you know?
I do. I guess got a request. Your friend John Swangsinger says, please
Oh,
tell
hey,
Kelly I
John.
said hello.
Hey,
Uh,
he's my high school friend.
well, I'm
He
very
used to
glad
come
you
over, and we
did.
used to go to all of our friends. He has been part of my group. We used to go to the beach together.
I heard you mention Ohio earlier, and I'm not surprised that, because Ohio's just a state full of talent. But I do have one question for our friend in the chat. Do you like football? Are you a
Cleveland,
football fan?
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns. So the Bengals,
Oh, I like yeah, no, Browns, I'm from Cleveland, so
right?
I'll always be a fan of anything hometown, right?
Right. Go Guardians. Go. Yeah. I can't imagine being a Browns fan and rooting for the Bengals, though. It'd be like, Uh, I see our friend Viz Lucian says, you are a queen, so talented, so many skills. You know what? I'm so with you, Luke. I'm so with you.
Thank you, Lucian.
Ohio is so talented. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And you said Ohio, I said, of course she is. Ohio is just a hotbed of talent. That's just crazy. And
Because
I agree with
we grow up there crazy, and we're like, we don't even know we're crazy there. we we grow up. It's like our normal. And also, I have a crazy generation. We're Gen X, so literally, we grew up taking care of ourselves at like age 10. We're like, at age 10 we're 30, and then at age whatever we're 30. It doesn't matter. It's like we're always
right.
at age 30. We'll never always doing our own thing, learning the hard way, jumping off cliffs.
What did you when you because you must have did the modeling after you learned fencing and you became and did you take martial arts as well as fencing? Did that?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I love Tai Chi. I was a ballet dancer, which completely helps with French fencing. It's literally a dance with a sword. Um, I I took a lot of things when I was a young kid. I used to be in theater when I was in my hometown. We used to do the community theater thing with all my high school friends, and I didn't take theater in high school though. I was a cheerleader because it's athletic.
Right, right, right. No doubt about that. I was asking what because I was wondering if it came fencing first, then modeling, then acting.
It was
Well,
fencing. It was fencing and and other weapons like bow and arrow, and it was a lot of weapons when I was a kid. And can't the outdoors adventure things, just you know everything that a kid should do without we didn't have cell phones back then or computers or anything, so we were constantly riding our bikes somewhere, going to the beach, um, sneaking out, don't tell my mom and dad, but sneaking out the windows and hanging out with our friends. We were bad, but we had so much
uh-huh.
fun. I had such a good childhood. And then
Yeah,
so it was a lot of that when we were kids. And then yes, the swords, but not in the proper way. It's like people would teach you, oh, this is, you're a little girl, this is how you could pretend to do these swords, like you see all the other kids with the swords. But it wasn't until I found the Martinez Academy in New York City that um, I learned to be a better fencer, is a good way to put it. I started from square one when I met them. Footwork for a year. Discipline. That's
what's
that's
most
wax
important?
on, wax off for a year. Just saying.
What's more important to a fencer? Is it the footwork or is it the hands? You got to have fast hands.
It's the art. It's everything. You learn it. If you watched The Karate Kid, you saw it's the Eastern style of what we do in the Western way too. It's footwork for a year. Then they put a sword in your hand. They put a foil in your hand. And then you have to like extend, and then you hit the wall, and then you hit the targets, and then you learn how to lunge, and then you learn the different moves, and then you learn how to do the drills. It's little tiny increments of learning things over and over until it gets into your body, and there's like no mistake. And then after a while you get to do a bout. Your first bout, you never forget your first bout because you're nervous. You have to put all of that together. And then once you do that a few times, then it's like, then the rest of your life is refining everything that and maybe adding a skill a little at a time. You never stop learning. There's always something. There's always a sword. There's always something new to learn with sword. Every sword is starting over.
Yeah, because
So
every sport's different, isn't it? I mean, it's
every sword is different. It's held a different way. It's used a different way. It cuts a different way. It stabs a different way. There's a sword for everything, and every sword is used differently. And then you have the rapier. Then you have like the Spanish rapier and the French rapier and the Italian rapier. There's like different places, and they're used different ways. So then it's not just the sword, it's where did it come from. So
uh,
you never
uh,
stop learning.
no. Our friend Andre mentions foot placement is always very important when you start any sport. The other things
Correct.
come with it. Balance is key. Andre is he's extremely knowledgeable. I never asked him if he's ever been inside the ring before, but I'm sure he has. But he's a huge boxing fan. Uh, let's
Footwork
see.
is important in anything. I feel like all the sports have common threads, you know? Like
Right.
there's a commonality. Like I used to do Tai Chi, and I feel like that helped me a lot in some of the movements with my small sword, with my foil, then with, you know, other things. Just like I feel like there's such crossovers between sports that it's or arts. And I call some the ones I like to do are more art forms, not the competition doesn't mean as much to me as the self improvement for myself, like being better than I was the last time. Is
I'm
it
just, I'm so impressed with the short sword because that's such a
small sword?
personal. It's a what?
Small sword.
Small sword. It's
There is
a
a short sword. There is a
yeah.
short sword, by the way. It's just a different sword.
The small sword is so personal. It's
Hmm.
not that big. You have to get up close and personal with your sword. And I think that, most people, when they think of swords, they think the standoffish, because you got two people like this and they're clashing the swords or whatever. Like you think when you think of knives, you think you have to get in close to use it. And, that's why they say a knife is the most personal weapon because you have to get up close. You have to look in somebody's eyes when you're using that. And same thing with the small sword. Um, what made you choose the small sword more than the more flashier swords, so to speak, like the rapier
Okay.
or the saber?
Well, let me say, the sword chooses you. It's not that I choose the sword. I have a certain framework. I'm 5'6" and I'm not a very big person. And I've gone through my progression of swords. Now, like if you're not super interested in a sword, in the type of sword, you want to progress through it really quickly. He was like, "Oh, just get me to the end." I don't know. I don't know about this sword. You feel it. You feel it. And like I like things about each sword. But then there's that one sword that you put in your hand and it's like, "Oh, this is cool." And look at all these things and it just sort of feels right. I don't know if I think a fencer understands that. Like, this is my sword. Like my friends that are bigger than me and they like this, you put a saber in their hand and they're like, yeah, like they know that's their sword. They can handle it and wield it with everything that is their being. And with me, it's the small sword. I think like my mind works like the training with a small sword. I'm not saying I'm the best small swordist. Please don't get that. But it's like if if somebody said you can only have one sword, I have my sword. I already know what it is. I don't care what sword you put in my hand or what weapon you put in my hand after that. I already know my weapon.
Uh,
Weapon of choice.
Now, how many swords do you personally own? Like you mentioned,
Too
your
many.
room,
Too many.
many, too
Too
many.
many.
How much? How much?
I've got swords in every city. I've got swords in Ohio. I've got swords here. I've got swords in New York. I've got swords in Florida. I've got swords stashed everywhere. Some of them are museum pieces. Some of them are definitely used for my training. Um, I have all kinds of swords too. I have them from a lot of. I have knives and swords and long things I can't use yet because maybe they're too heavy. Like the bigger swords, like the rapier, those are like I like them, but they're very heavy for me, and it's like I get tired quickly. I can do it, but it makes me tired. You know,
Right,
I know I
right.
can't go very far and about, and somebody with a little more power to them is going to kick my butt.
See, that's what I always felt like the samurai sword. It's like that's a big sword. That's a heavy sword, and you don't see a lot of samurai fights last very long. You're not seeing that. You're seeing like there's two guys and they're gonna go balls out and they're gonna try to end it quick as possible because that sword is heavy.
So
And
I go to this dojo named Mashi Dojo, and some the sensei there, he will. I've seen him. If you get two guys with the same skill, they can go on. They can go on for a long time. I'm surprised. There's a lot of things that I still don't know about, the samurai sword yet, but I feel like if you have two people of equal skill, it's it's a never ending.
mm,
It could be never ending, I feel. So I wouldn't say that. I feel like at some point they'd have to call the draw. But if you
right.
get somebody that's has less experience and lesser skill and makes a lot more mistakes, they're going to go down pretty quick.
Andre mentions similar to a music instrument, there's always one that you prefer the instrument choice. You prefer the instrument The instrument chooses you, whether you play. There's always one preference. Um,
Yes, mine's the violin.
what's the worst injury that you have received in your fencing, and how do you protect your hands from competition? So, like, you don't, so you don't get hurt, so you can continue to play the violin.
Oh, well, I don't, that's another thing. I think about these things when I'm fencing and like, okay, well, I have these other aspects of my life. You can get hurt in, especially with something like a saber. You wear protective gear. You have your padding underneath and you have your jacket and you have you have proper gloves and you have your mask and you have just, certain, um, you have your gorget, you have, depending on where your target is for your sword, you have the right gear. However, there's always going to be that person that hits you with all his might.
Hmm.
And it usually is a slashing sword, like a saber, that will cause injury. And I've had some people in my academy get hurt pretty badly, not in competition mostly, because when we're just training, it's controlled and it's more about precision. But you get, when you're competing, you get a little bit more
Aggressive.
excitement and energy behind it, and sometimes people make mistakes, and that's usually like something with their hand, or a few occasions it's been something on their leg. They've gotten bruises across their leg. And uh, not in our academy, but I've seen some injuries happen where a sword has gone under the mask.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't. It caused maybe some stitches, but luckily, I know there's probably some people out there in the past that have gotten some very serious injuries. But in my lifetime, I haven't seen that many. Thank goodness, because
I was gonna say, I thought that was strictly for Bowden. I thought everything was from the chest down that you're supposed to strike, never above the shoulder, ever.
no, no, no. There's a few swords that is full body, and you
Wow.
have to be careful. That's why you have to wear like it's a protective padding that goes around your throat so that things can't come under the mask.
Right.
But there's a few swords that it is your whole body, and then sometimes people make mistakes, and even though this is your target area, they do something, they make a mistake, and it goes someplace it's not supposed to. So you just have to have the right equipment, and you have to make sure you're fencing with people that know what they're doing, because that's when the most injuries happen, is when somebody doesn't know what they're doing and they're fencing with something they shouldn't have in their hand.
So let's get back to the acting, because I mean, definitely that's what I should be talking to you about. Though thank you so much for talking about fencing, because I'm completely fascinated by your skill, and I'm sure I'm speaking for the chat as well. It's very cool to be able to talk to someone who knows what they're doing, in to learn something new, and I really do appreciate it. Um, oh, Snow has mentioned her magic for her is the piano, the recurve bow, and the what kizzy for her. I don't know what the what that might be a Japanese weapon. I don't know. I don't know. Is that
Another,
is that a discipline, Snow, or a weapon, or? And I agree with you, Audrey. That would be really scary to even though they do have the point, have the little bobs on them, to stop penetration, but still, that would still not be. The tiger's claw. Oh, okay. I wonder what they call the cheetah claw. I have to ask them. Um, Yeah. So now let's go back. Now you're doing the Hawaiian tropic modeling. How did you break that to your family? Or were they supportive of you when you sat there and you said you were going to be modeling in bikinis and on beaches? I mean, was that something? Your family, was that okay
I
with them?
have I have a very old fashioned family. So there was a little bit of, oh, don't do anything else, like I don't want to see you doing something. I had my grandmother was my biggest cheerleader, and she was always showing everybody in the supermarket my picture, my bikini. Grandma, don't do that. But it was like, she was proud of me, and I feel like I was raised with pretty good morals and standards where they trusted me to do the right thing, and I really stayed with it. You know, I had um I feel like I feel like we were never asked to do anything that would compromise whatever, and we had it was a good, I wouldn't say it was super wholesome, but we had a lot of fun. But I feel like there was a responsibility. We looked after each other, and the owner looked after us. So I don't, I never got myself in trouble. I would get myself in trouble outside of that, but not so much. That never led down a bad road for me ever. And my family was pretty supportive when they would see my pictures, or they'd see me on TV, or they would see I had a billboard once. Um,
Really?
so so there was, you know, I used to do the magazines, and we were always doing something with the celebrities. So a lot of times we did our calendars and our bikinis, and we did some we were always kind of protected. We always had some really great people around us that never let the girls get in trouble. So I feel like my
Right.
parents were okay with it, and they trusted that I wasn't going to do anything to get myself in, like, end up in the down the wrong path. I think I was raised pretty well. That
Like I said, the Hawaiian Tropic Contest. I mean, like I said, I mean, most of those contests are always, there's a lot of drunk guys and a lot of frat boys and all
oh
that other stuff. But for the Hawaiian Tropic ones, they're always legitimate. I mean, this is like a legitimate contest, like pageant, very much like the Miss Universe, Miss America, what have you. It had that same sort of gravitas. And I know some people think that beauty pageants are passe or a thing of the past. I don't. I don't, because to me it's like, hey, if it opens the door for somebody to go forward to what they want to do, how is that bad? Right?
so my pageant was at a water park full of kids and families, and I was with a company called World Gym. I was dating a I was dating somebody that was a bodybuilder at the time, and they had this little show that they would put on at different venues, and then they had the Hawaiian Tropic contest right after that. And they're like, "Oh, put Kelley in that," because I was the girl for their show. I was one of those girls that could never put on any weight. I had like I'd have to go to the gym and work out to try to get muscle so that I didn't look like a toothpick. Um, and I had people from that contest put me into this other contest that without me knowing it, and I ended up in the Hawaiian Tropic contest, and it was literally moms and dads, and voting on by clapping and stuff like that. I don't know how it all worked back then. I have to tell you, there was a couple contests in bars and stuff as you progress down the way, but I feel like the organizers of the contest were pretty aware. It's been going on. It was one of those very organized where they had people to watch, and they had bodyguards, and if a girl got in trouble, is because she wanted to get in trouble at that point, or not. There was always, I feel like it was not like your typical bikini contest that you see. It had a reason at the end. You were moving on to go be to represent your state. You had to go through a series of contests. Then I represented Ohio, and we all flew to Florida, and we got to meet the girls from the other states, and it was just like a regular beauty contest.
Right.
But I believe that in the it wasn't just about what the girl looked like. I think it had something to do. There was girls that phenomenal looking, but they didn't make it, like, to be one of the girls that traveled the world. They had to have a lot more to them, because they were going to be representing, and they were going to be talking to people from different places all over the world. They had to have other things. And yes, it opened a lot of doors for girls. They came from, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio. It wasn't, they came from unglamorous places, from, girls like me that spent their childhood shooting bow and arrows and jumping in the creek and
Right.
fishing, you know, that kind of thing. So it was a different kind, and it sort of showed them the world a little bit. It was their first taste of traveling the world and being a spokesperson, I guess you could
Mhm.
call it. So
Now, go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I have my good thoughts and bad thoughts about beauty contests, but um I
Well, I
feel like
mean, yeah,
it is what you make it. It is what you make
yeah.
it in the end. And my
It
experience has
definitely.
always been good.
I mean, you definitely felt the slime and the sleaze. You know,
But you just gotta know that. You gotta say no. Like, wasn't there a campaign? Just say no.
yeah.
Just
Well,
say no to a lot
I
of
remember
things.
when Donald Trump took over the Miss America pageant, and instantly it just made your skin crawl because you see him walking around with all these girls that are like 18 or 7, 18, 19, and all of a sudden they went from being like, okay, this is cool, to all of a sudden now it's like, ooh, it's like did not like that at all. It's like that gave that element, that gave that seeing that, it just made the pageant seem really, it diminished it a lot, and it didn't come have the same, it didn't have the same purity or the same motives. It was just like an old man bought it, and just so he could sit around and Google all the girls that are old enough to be his granddaughters.
There
You know,
is good and bad in everything, isn't there?
yeah.
It's
Well, wait a
not.
minute, hold on. In situations or people, because that's two different types.
I feel like there's good and bad in everything. You just have to know, as people, we need to be aware. We have to make ourselves more aware. It's not easy. It
No,
comes from, training, like teaching as a child. That's why it's so important to be such a good parent. It's a lifelong thing, and navigating it is not easy for anybody. And there's no blame put on, like, when I hear about certain things, I'm like, oh, you
yeah,
know,
yeah, that's how I felt too. It's like, because I was one. I'm a generation of where we watched those things. They used to be a big thing. Miss America pageant and the Miss Universe pageant. Burt Fields used to be the MC, and it was like glamorous and everything, and then slowly just start evolving. And then it's sort of like a lot of sports too. Like, we used to sit there and watch tennis, and golf used to be on major TV channels, and then slowly but surely they just faded off. Now they're not seen as they used to be. They're not.
right.
It's not a major sport like it was back in the 70s. And
Yeah.
and that's how pageants are now. It's like they used to be so powerful and do so much. Now in this today's world, now not so much. And
Yeah. Well, I believe in evolution, and I believe when things get to a certain level of not so good, that they need to disappear.
yeah,
And something more fantastic needs to take their place.
sure.
Whatever that is, I feel like that happens in a lot of things, whether it's
Um,
education, or it's the movie business, or it's there's always gonna something's always gonna take it and rise above. Got to rise above, right?
Um, you mentioned that you started out on Baywatch. That was your first movie or TV set, right? Where you got to go on there and
No, I think mine was Power Rangers back in the day. It was because they didn't. It back in it was like one of the first pilot episodes that they filmed, and I believe that I think it got thrown away because they sold it and they recast everybody. And I know I left, didn't know what happened to the pilot, because it was like one of those things, like, how many you do these things all the time, and it's like, oh, it's over, whatever. You never find out what happens, and then later you go
you,
like, oh, I remember that.
oh, you
But
you did a pilot for the Power Rangers?
yeah, it was a long time ago. It was one of the first pilots when they were just figuring it out, and I got the part because I fit the outfit, and we had to all kind of look the same in our outfits because it had to
What
look good, because
color
you
were you?
never pink.
Wow,
A long
how
time
cool
ago.
is
But
that?
let me tell you something. It was back before they had digital anything. And I think it ended up, and I can't find it anywhere. I know I had a VHS tape of it, and it went to my house. And then my mom and dad, so when I bought my mom and dad a house like a long time ago when I was starting to make money, and they put my stuff in the basement, and they turned that. It was the sub pump is really loud, so my dad was down there working on his, you know, military stuff, and he turned the sub pump off and he forgot to turn it back on, and
Oh,
all my things got flooded, and I'm like, oh my god, there goes all my VHS tapes. All my Hawaiian Tropic pictures and everything. So sometimes my friends, I get really excited because they'll send me a picture from a long time ago, something I
I was
completely
gonna,
forgot. And
I was
they'll
gonna
send it to me on like Messenger, on Facebook Messenger or something. And I'm like, oh, I never forgot about that because my pictures were ruined.
Well, as far as VHS things go, a lot of people here in this chat, they're diehard movie fans. And believe me, if someone can find a VHS tape of you as a Power Ranger, they
Please
will
let
do
me
it.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like one of the first ones. Now I know that there was some
You
lawsuit
need-
stuff going on, not by me, but by some of the other people that were cast because they like canned everybody and then they took it to LA and they rehired everybody. And they said when we were on the, oh, if this makes it, it got sold right away. It was like a Saturday morning 7 a.m. kid show. That's what it was supposed to be. I did this other one called Space Force. I think I I remember it being really silly, but the kids loved it.
right. Now,
But those were
how
my
long?
first. I've been in kid shows forever. I feel like I just my genre's kid shows.
I had no idea you had. I did not know there was multiple pilots. I
Oh
always
yeah,
thought that.
oh yeah.
Uh,
And you'll, if you dig deep, you'll see all like there's like some horror stories behind all that. But I didn't care. I was like, I was on tour with Madonna, so I was like having fun. I didn't care what everybody else was doing.
that's right. You toured with her for a whole year.
Yeah, first Blonde Ambition tour.
Now,
So
what
that was
was
a lot of fun. I actually, that was a fun, but I wasn't anything special. Don't, it was, I was the chef's assistant, but I did get to do some of the scenes, some of the act because they needed some models to put on like the shiny black stuff to do the Vogue thing and go down on the stage. And then we disappeared. And then I went back and I helped. She was a macrobiotic vegetarian at the time,
yeah,
an amazing businesswoman. That woman can run circles around anybody else at that time, like literally and physically,
yeah.
business wise.
She's
And she
very
was
ambitious.
the most in shape person I have ever met. She used to get up and run 10 miles and drink this big shake that we would make her. And she was amazing.
See, people are. See, I'm with you. I'm with you, Star Lord. I'm blown away too. I think a lot of us are closet Power Ranger fans. Um, I know I'm a Power
You,
Ranger Delta,
you know,
SPD
and
Delta.
they may have destroyed that one episode. I've heard that's what happened because of all this stuff that came up around it, and I can't find mine anywhere. It could be still in my mom and dad's house and didn't get destroyed because it got smashed in between something else.
Well, sure.
I will look when I go home. I'll be home soon. My birthday's coming up and I was thinking of going home for right after. So maybe
Um,
I'll go to the basement and see if anything is still left down there. I mean, we threw a lot of stuff out, but
well,
I don't
now
know.
that people know, like I'm looking at my friend Star Lord over here saying, now he's met the original Pink Ranger. I mean, hell,
Thank you.
yes, I did not know this. This is something I missed. How
It's
fun is
on
that?
it's on
Yeah,
my IMDb, but they gave me credit to when it's not. I
wow, the
don't.
original Pink Ranger. I had it. We've had. Well, there you go. There you go. See, this is what happens. This is what happens when you come over and watch the show. You just never know who's going to be on or what they've done. This is one of the reasons why I love doing this. This is a lot of fun. Um, I said it before. I'm a Power Rangers SPD fan. That's right. Uh, no apologies there. In fact, I was actually watching a documentary earlier, and Serena Vincent was on, and she was talking about how what she did her series of Power Rangers. She was on for 2 seasons, and then after that, she went on to do Cabin Fever and
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I remember that.
yes,
That
and
girl,
so
well,
yeah,
she's more legit than I am. I need to tell you that because I did the pilot, like a pilot that got probably put into the trash can. If I find it, I will let you know, I promise.
yes,
Cause
but
no,
that doesn't take away that you were chosen to be the Pink Ranger first.
all
You
right,
were the
guys,
first
I was
Pink
chosen
Ranger.
because I fit in the little pink outfit and I look like all the other skinny little people that were up there. So it
Oh
wasn't
my.
like a big deal, but it was cool now. But I don't even have any proof, so I have to like do my.
Oh no, I'm sure there's Power Rangers groups out there that know who you are. Oh, I'm sure of that. There's no doubt about that. You go to hardcore fan groups and they'll know. Like you
Because
go
they
in there,
know all
like,
the stuff that went on behind the
yeah.
scenes before it actually made it. So that's
Oh yeah. Now, did you meet was it Jason Frank? The was it the
Do you
young
know
man
how old I
who?
was when I did that? I was like, so, oh my God,
Wow. Yeah.
19, 20,
Uh,
21, 21. I was
uh,
21. I'm not going to tell you how old I am right now.
no, no, that's all right. I'm just pumped up. There you go. See, Andre's mentioning that. Agreed. Was great childhood memories. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the Power Ranger shows were filmed in New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah. After us,
A lot of the actors were Australian and New Zealand.
they definitely were from a long time ago. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. So and Andre lives in New Zealand, so he lives in a country that where Power Rangers were raised were raised in. Uh, well, that's awesome. So what was your first speaking role as far as a project that hit the screen? What was the first thing you ever auditioned for and booked?
Probably Super Force. It was a kid show like a long time ago. I think I do have the VHS of that still. Um, but that was a long time ago. If you're talking recently, like did, I did a lot of, I mean, since I got to Hollywood, the first one I booked was I was a series regular in this show that was filming in Armenia. And it was right before COVID. And I remember I had the passport. I had my passport. I had the ticket to go to Armenia. I played the mom of the lead, and it was about these kids getting. We filmed 2 episodes here in Los Angeles, and then we were gonna travel to Armenia, and the rest was taking place in the salt mines of Armenia. The kids got kidnapped and put in the salt mines, and I was the mom going over there. Oh my God, get my son out! That kind of thing. So that was
Hmm.
my first one since I've been back into the acting, where I wasn't just some girl on the beach. I'm always the girl on the beach, the girl on the beach. I never really had like I was always it was more like what we would call background these days, but it was they gave you there's like if there was levels of background, it was like the girl that walks by in the bikini or the girl that brings them his drink or it was like one of those kind of things. They weren't really lines back then. Um so yeah, so I booked that like right when I got to LA. I was like, wow, that was cool. I think I need an acting coach.
Uh, did you take classes? Are you still taking classes now?
Oh, all the I am studying. I have classes all the time. I'm not one of I don't sit on my laurels for anything. I train, train, train. I train in acting, I train in voice, I train in my violin, fiddle, whatever you want to call it. I have acting classes, acting club. I train all the time. I'm a trainer. And everybody else is like, "Oh, there's strikes going on. We can't do anything." And I'm like, "I'm training."
Yes.
Just
Yeah, that's what we had elite makeup artist Dan Crawley on the show a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that guy, his resume is off the chain with some of the stuff that he's done, and he
mm,
said that's what he's saying. Thing he says, just because you're on strike doesn't mean you're on strike. Like that mean you just sit around and do nothing. He
mm-mm.
goes around, he's telling us about some of the things that he does, and he's been showing some of the work he's been working on. It's amazing. He's working.
It
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Uh,
one of
uh,
those girls that works in silent without cameras on, and then I come and like I like to work in silent. I don't like to always have sometimes I'll take a selfie. You'll see me on my Instagram account. I'm like, training and the dog's licking my face, and I'm, like in between the breaks of training on some weapon somewhere. But because we got, as actors, we got to always post. Sometimes I'm like, oh, another one, I got to put another one out.
Oh
But
my gosh, we were just talking about that yesterday. We're talking about how, they're always told, like every time you post on social media, it's supposed to be bright and sunny.
yeah.
Every post, it's okay not to do that. If you're having a shitty day, it's all right to post that as well. It shows that you're human, It shows that you're
Well,
human. It shows that you're having a bad day. I've seen a lot of a lot of people, some people I know, and some people I admire, and they'll post some pictures that show them as being human. It's like, I'm having a shitty day. Well, you're totally entitled to that.
yeah,
You know,
rock it, rock that shitty day, right?
but you're an actor. You're supposed to be all happy, shiny all the time. Really? Are you? Because I'm not. I don't know anybody who's having a good day every day.
Rock that
There's,
shitty day, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
so I mean, if you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling particularly happy that day, and you're having a bad day, or you need a tomato soup day or grilled cheese sandwich day, it's
Grilled
fine to
cheese and
post that.
tomato soup.
Hell
My
yeah,
my that's my thing. If I'm having a bad day, I want a really good grilled cheese sandwich.
me too, me
Or
too.
mashed potatoes. I'll take mashed potatoes too.
Mashed, mashed potatoes are great. That's what I've heard. I've heard that. I don't know. I don't know if you're still with us, Ant, but there you go, buddy. Oh, let's see. Steven's mentioning. Oh gosh, he remembers Superforce with Ken Olant. God, I remember Ken Olant. He guy was everywhere in the '80s. He was a very popular guest star. Also,
Oh
Street
yeah,
Hawk.
I remember that. I still remember like hiding behind those plastic barricades and coming out like in our little space outfits. I
Wow.
still do kid shows. I do a lot of kid shows still. I love kid shows. I think it's the high pitch in my voice. I never could sound like this. Um
How do you
this
protect your voice? I mean, I know you
I
don't drink or
don't. I
smoke.
lose it quite often. Actually, I was just out on the picket lines the other day. I was like, lost everything because we were like, because I'm SAG, right? I'm union strong,
Right.
right? So I'm out there and doing the thing. I lost my voice. Like, oh, good thing I don't have any auditions right now, but I did. I just got an audition that's part of the interim agreement. So I had to
Okay.
like study what that interim agreement is because I'm like, I'm not doing this. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. That's going, so I'm
Yeah,
doing
I
it.
had that problem too. I had and I totally understand. When the strike happened, it was just like, we all heard that, you can't promote any projects. You can't promote
I
no.
have 2 huge projects coming out this month and I can't say a word,
Yeah.
but it's okay. Union strong.
Um. Well, it's funny. It's like, he was wondering about, like, I'm not sure I could do your show, but I had already found out that what SAG had approved of, another actor had posted it, and I was so grateful because I was like, okay, so are we exempt from this? A tiny show like this, are we still allowed to go forward with our guest? And yes, you can be doing this show because this is a small micro show.
Yeah,
If I had, if I
so I had to study up on that too because I had a lot of people ask me to do some things and I'm like, I don't know, guys. So even on this I do this 80s this thing on Retro Circ. It's like I'm like a show host and we introduce uh old 80s commercials and stuff and they can't use any of the strike material. And so we're doing like silly little skits. But it's cute. It's like, okay, we're still working though. We're like doing our thing, but we're everybody that I'm working with now is careful not to use strike material. So I appreciate that because we're not here to cross lines. We're all
um, our friend and film director, Gizmo, has mentioned, are you sitting or are you standing?
I'm sitting. I'm on a
That's what
stool
I
actually.
thought.
I don't have, thank God, my ballet training. I can sit up straight without having a chair behind me.
Because Gizmo's giving me says, I see you're an hour into the stream and Kelley is standing. Have not been a gentleman and said she can sit? I have never let anybody stand up for an hour and a half. I would never do that.
I
Well,
have my
maybe.
trusty the little wooden stool right here, so I'm good.
Okay. Well,
And I have a
you know
nice
what?
strong back, so I don't have to worry about having to slouch. Good.
I'm just gonna keep you for like another 5 or 6 minutes. I'm gonna let you chat if they have any questions for our guest. Please feel free. I feel like I have not talked about your career enough. We've talked fencing, we talked beauty pageants, we talked Power Rangers, but while they're thinking about some questions to ask you, I definitely want to watch because I think I saw it on Tubi, and I mean I have to go back and look at it. But you did a anthology series called Pandora's Box.
Oh yeah, so I've done Jason DiStefano. I did a lot of voiceovers for him. I like it. I also like the I like to do the religious genres too, because it's always it's like I feel like they're uplifting and they're you don't have to worry about nudity, sex, and all that kind of stuff. Like so kids can see it. I'm all about trying to be a good role model for people. Um, and we did I did a few things with him before I became SAG. So he's a Pandora's Box is, there's I do a little bit of horror genre, but like I played a nun a few times. Um I played I did the one that you had on the advertisement. I did the nightgown for Jared Masters, who's like, you know, horror king. He does all the campy with the beautiful girls, and it's he's got a little following going on there.
Okay. How did you like doing the Nightgown? Well, that was a horror film.
I
How
played the wife of the priest, and um, I liked it because it was such a unique experience for me. My scenes were quite different than anything I've done. He shot it on this iPhone 14, I think it was, with a bunch of contraptions around it. But he's I liked that he was experimenting with things and the way it was shot. And it was a little cabin in the middle of nowhere, California. It was scary, just the whole surroundings, just being there was like set the tone for the whole show.
oh
Um,
good.
but I played the wife, so it's like I always play these characters that you know always
You put
crying on the bad person's shoulders, kind of thing.
Okay. Well, that's all right. I mean, then you're showing range, right? I mean, that takes, it takes emotional, that shows what you can do. You're not just there being a pretty face. You have range,
Oh,
you have force.
I I definitely wasn't a pretty face in that one. Then later on, I become possessed, and I did my own voice,
Okay.
and like you'd think it was a voiceover because you wouldn't believe the voice that came out of me. It was like this thing. It was really scary, like it was something that I was like, oh, I can't believe and I did it really loud too because it was like, and so it was interesting. I learned a lot about myself in that little movie.
Let's see. Gizmo's mentioning Toronto. Let's see. He says he's in the studio, so can't be too long. Today, two features he did production design on. Is picked up for big festivals, and I got nominated for one. For Toronto. Oh, that means he'll be here in September. And the other one I can't say yet, but it's in America, so maybe I'll be traveling there in January. Hint, hint. Yes. That would be perfect. You definitely will have a spot here. Steven mentions I also have a box set of Birds of Prey with Dina Meyer. Uh, yeah, I love that show. Uh, let's see. Oh, and Andre's commenting about the two. He's talking about the two projects you mentioned that you can't announce. But do you have any release dates? Are they going to be releasing them, or are they going to hold them?
The nightgown's out. It's on. I can't see. I can't say. I can't talk. It's hard for me to talk about my projects because they're out on like striked places.
What, Tubi striked?
No, not Tubi, but
Yeah.
other
Okay.
places.
Oh, right, right. Okay.
They're
The
out
other.
on a bunch of different things, but
Yeah.
Tubi's not striked. But the other ones, some of the other
Pandora.
stuff I do.
Pandora's Box, I do believe, is on Tubi, so
That is.
I do believe it's on there, and so I intend to watch that. And I saw that you're doing a sequel to that.
I I don't know if I'm in this one, We'll find out from Jason.
Okay.
I'll let you know. Um, the Armageddon is the Ray Bradbury. I did the voiceover for him. I'm one of the astronauts. Yeah, I like that he puts his stuff out like separately. Sometimes
Okay.
it's better. You know what I mean? Because
Okay.
I can talk about him, number one, because I can't talk about some of the other stuff because, you know, the two big movies I'm coming out, forget it. Can't talk about it. But I'm,
Um, no, I definitely, yeah, I definitely understand. We won't, we have a rule here too, and that is, if it's not on IMDb, we don't talk about it.
it's on
I have,
IMDb. It's on IMDb,
okay.
but you can
Um,
look there.
yes. And we put Kelly's information down below, her IMDb, her Instagram. You guys can follow her there. You can also see what she's got coming up in her career by going to IMDb. But we have run out of time, ladies and gentlemen, and I do want to say thank you to our guest, Kelley Poling. This has been an awesome visit, and I'm so grateful that you gave me a second chance to do this.
Oh, are you kidding? Come on.
I really was. I was really like, damn, I really messed that up. I'm sitting there going like, I asked her for an interview. Oh, that was like a year ago. Wow, what was I
But I
doing?
didn't forget. I don't forget things. I do forget names sometimes. Don't get me wrong, but it's like when somebody I put something on the schedule, I'm there. You know.
Yes, yes, and I do appreciate that so much, and I really do appreciate the chat has been very engaging tonight. I guess thank you. I can't thank you enough for that. It's so awesome you guys came out and support the show this week. I appreciate it more than you know. Luke is saying you're such a talented artist and you have so many skills. I know, Luke. You're spot on tonight, my friend. Yeah, like I said, I mean, if your manager or your agent's watching this interview, get busy. Go into the bathroom.
I just got a really great audition from my agent, so I'm good. And my
Uh,
manager is amazing. Yeah, they are. It's just that nobody's. Well, I'm SAG, so what am I going to do right now, right?
right, right. Well, hopefully when the strike ends, and everybody goes, at the starting line and everybody says go, you'll be in front.
Yes,
Uh, yeah.
Lioness, coming for you.
All right, boys and girls, that will be it for us. Before I go, I gotta tell you about next week because this week was really, really strong, and next week is really strong as well. Next week is Brightwood week. Brightwood, new film camp is coming out from Cinephobia releasing. Holy, this movie! This is my favorite movie of the year. Brightwood is my favorite movie of the year. I don't see anything taking its place. It is absolutely bonkers movie. It is a bonkers. You will watch it. You'll want to talk to somebody about it, and then you'll want to watch it again. It's an amazing film, and we'll be talking to two of the people who made it happen. I'll always have to work the calendar. So on the 15th, next Tuesday on the 15th, we have filmmaker Dane Elcar will be with us. He's the one that wrote and directed his debut feature film of Brightwood, and he'll be here at 8 o'clock. On the 16th, Wednesday, we have singer-songwriter Iris will be here with us. On the 17th, we have actress Kylie Nicole will be here with us at 8 p.m. And then on Friday, a week from tomorrow, we have one of the two leads of the film Brightwood, and that would be Max Workendike, and he will be here on the 18th, and he will be talking Brightwood and other projects that he has done. And yeah, we're gonna have another great week next week. I'm really happy about that. And this week has been phenomenal, and I can't thank you guys all enough for your support. Um, let's see. If you know a guy that needs a girl to make music, let's see. Let's see. Oh, Snow says she's worked on Hollywood film soundtracks before. All right, all right. Yep. Oh, thank you so much, Night. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. All right, I'm going to say goodnight to the chat. Kelley, stay right where you are for 1 second. Thank you so much. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next Tuesday for Dane Elcar. Be safe. And and the midnight hour will be on Popping the Popcorns channel tonight at 10:30. 10:30. I might even be there. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.